everyone, I am here just to do a comparison of the mass market Compendium of Witches by Lo Scarabeo with the original from the artist version of the Compendium of Witches. Now, this is a deck that I have greatly loved. I don't know if this note, if Miss Nancy had sent this to me. I've had this for, it doesn't have a date on it. I've had this for some time and I am so in love with this deck. This was actually on my wish list for a long time. I was at the very top of my wish list because of, well, of a lot of the cards, but mostly because of this card. I have an Ancestor Guardian energy that is very active in my practice, that when I saw this card, it was the first time I had seen something that looked so much the way that I saw this Ancestress Guardian. And so I just fell in love with it. There's many of the cards that I absolutely love. It is 2 parts. There are one part that is the seers or the witches. I see them as kind of seers. And then another is sort of like almost like the tools of the seeress, or also has a bit of a more of a fortune-telling style, symbolic style deck. Beautiful. I mean, the artwork is absolutely stunning. I have a walkthrough of this deck. Hello to not muting my phone. I have a full walkthrough of this deck. I will put it in the link below. So, you know, obviously I'm not going to, well, I don't know how many cards. We may do a quick flip through, but, you know, I'm not going to repeat everything that I already said. But I can talk from experience of using it now for all this time. And I'll have to look and see when I did my walkthrough of it. I have mostly, now I have mixed this deck, but I would say the majority of the time of using it, I have kept it separate. For myself, I often pull a single card to work with. I just need the support of a Seeress energy, and I'll pull one. I have also, and I don't want to shuffle these yet so I can compare them, but I have also pulled one and then pulled 3 cards as the message from that Seeress. I've done that quite a lot and find that to be a really fantastic way to work with this combination of the deck. And then I have also shuffled it all together and just pull cards as you would with any deck, with sort of a major arcana and a minor arcana energy. I have done that less so than others. I also, for myself, for my, I haven't decided yet. I'm leaning towards actually my monthly year ahead reading that I'll be doing on the winter solstice. I am actually thinking of doing the whole thing of all 12 cards of 12 months and having one for the month. But I did do a wheel like this for a client. Now, I did add in extra energy below. Now with hers, I actually put a secondary card under it. Which I really liked with the 8. If I do it for the one a month, I don't think I will do that. I'll be pulling other cards through the month to do that. And I didn't use this as a totally separate card, but it was more like it gave it nuance. So if we're looking at, you know, the Wind Rider and sort of focus and powerful, moving forward, working with the cycles and the natural cycles of things, it just kind of gave it that little edge of nuance. If I do the full 12 instead of my wheel, because I think I might still do my rune of the wheel of the runes or something, and then I really am considering doing this for my monthly card and not doing tarot. I haven't fully decided, but anyways, those are the different ways that I have used this and really loved this deck. Like, I really love this deck. So They came out with a, and I don't have the big book, I just have the smaller book here. I found this, it gives you some keywords, it gives you a touch into what you're looking at and what her lesson is, and then about the actual, the witch and where she comes from. This has been really nice, and this beautiful full image there as well. The only thing that I have found very frustrating about this, just in terms of usage, is that they are not in numbered or in alphabetical order. So there is I tabbed it here in the back, there is a listing of them, and so then you have to find it and then find the page number to get to your things. They either need to be numbered or they need to be alphabetical so that you can just grab that and go. I just think it's kind of just needs to be that way for oracles, and they fixed that in this version. So let me zoom in here. I don't know why I zoomed out quite that far, but that's okay. So cardstock, gorgeous. This is absolutely stunning. Linen, it shuffles like a dream, it shushes like a dream. I love the cardstock on this. I trimmed or edged, I think these are the ones. I'm gonna have to try to test it, but I edged in dark green on the majors, so to speak, and then in this antique gold that I use a lot for the smaller side of the deck. And I would do the same thing with that one. So cardstock wise, I love how this shuffles. I love how it overhands. I love how it riffles. Love the back. I mean, there's just really the only negative for me in usage of this deck is the guidebook not being numbered or alphabetical. So then this I like the size, but I understand why they did this so that the book and the deck could all go together. We have Compendium of Witches. They really kept the look of the Oracle really tight, which I think is gorgeous because this is a gorgeous deck. Like you don't need to change anything there. So it looks very similar. This does have a beautiful matte finish. I mean, this is obviously a mass market box, but otherwise, it does really have the feel of the look of the deck, I should say. It has the gold foiling, doesn't have that matte feel, but it's nice. It's a nice Los Scarabeo box deck. I truthfully didn't realize that Los Scarabeo did box decks so much like this, but anyways, on the back you can see there's different languages. Beyond the faces of these ancient witches are the stories of wise, strong, and resilient women. Coming from different lands and ages, these magical practitioners share a common trait, a familiarity with a wider world, that of spirits and invisible forces hiding within nature. And then of course you have a couple of the cards. Contains an oracle deck of 60 cards and a 176 page color companion, 47 of which are in English. So we all know this about Los Scarabeo, but yeah, the book looks great, but it is definitely a only 47 in one language. So again, nice sturdy box, black on the inside. It's a great box. Here's the beautiful, large book. Again, only 47 pages of it are in one language, and I'm assuming each language has similar. They took out the images. I did think that they removed some of the text, but that does not look to be the case. I have compared a few of them. It has the keywords, it has the 2 paragraphs, and it has the about the witch. So as far as I can see, whether there's been a couple changes, I'm not sure, but as far as I can see, the text is the same. It just does not have the image of the card on it. So that's good. That's good to see there. So there's that. There's that. I can't speak apparently. And then what I was excited and I wasn't expecting to see, I didn't really look this up, excuse me, is that the images are larger because of the majors, because they are borderless. Now, again, don't get me wrong, I adore this deck exactly how it is, and I do like the borders on the major cards. They stand out really well, although, you know, from the sort of majors and the secondary, primary and secondary, stand out beautifully. But I will say, because of the solidness of the image versus the white space, they still stand out really beautifully. So I don't think that that changes anything in that capacity. And the bonus is you end up getting a much not much, but it feels, I will say, in person, it feels like a much bigger image. So much so that I purchased this to pass on as a Christmas present, and after I did a comparison, and I ended up just sending him another one because I don't want to let go of this one. When I use whatever deck I use for my main deck for the year, I usually like to have a secondary one, because I always will leave a set of the cards out, and roll through it over the course of the year. And of course, I actually use this deck, so now the question will be, which one am I going to keep? I'll probably set this one out and keep this one in play, because I still use this deck. But I haven't made that final decision yet. Okay. Let's move this stuff out of the way. And as far as I can tell, they are pretty close in terms of look and color. There is a slight saturation difference, but that can just be from the cardstock change, and maybe a slight warmer tone to this, but it is nothing extreme whatsoever. I'm actually really impressed, because this is so gorgeous and rich. I'm really impressed with how beautiful it's showing up, and this cardstock is really, and look at the backs. The backs are the same. Again, there is a slight, I don't think you'll be able to see it, there is a slight difference in this. Looks slightly darker because of the cardstock, but it's beautiful. Like, there's nothing about this that it's gorgeous. Size wise, let me do it this. No, that won't help. Let me take one of these. Size wise, it's almost identical. It is a hair, do it this way. It is a hair wider, but basically the same, just a smidge wide. The new one is no, the original, sorry, is just a hair wider. So this is a little bit narrower. It's a great size card. I'm really happy with the size of the cards, and it feels like a nice matte. It's not matte. You can see there's a slight sheen to it, but it is a nice matte. I feel like it's going to shuffle really nicely. I haven't done that yet, obviously. Again, it's full, obviously no border here, which again, because this had a longer border at the bottom, it does end up feeling pretty significant. That is about almost 3/4 of an, oh yeah, 3/4 of an inch, plus you're going to have, you know, a little bit there, so you're looking at, just height wise, almost an inch more of the image that you get to see, as well as then, you know what, maybe half an inch on the sides. So it really does, in person, if it's a deck that you love like I do really enjoy this extra amount of image here. It just feels even all the more present. I think you can maybe see on this one, there's a slightly more redder hue in the original, and this is slightly more softened and slightly more of a yellow tone, but it's quite beautiful. Like, they're both beautiful. I don't have any issue. There's just a bit more saturation and a slightly skewed to the red versus slightly softer with a slight hue to the yellow, and I think that pretty much goes across. And I'm guessing obviously they're different printers and it's different cardstock, but they're both quite. I was really pleased with these images. I wasn't disappointed. So let's just kind of whip through them real quick. Again, you can kind of see that yellow there. She's so gorgeous. Beautiful, slightly more glowy over here. Again, I think because of that just a little bit of the yellow tone, it puts a little more warmth to this version, but it's very slight. Wind Rider. I love the Shapeshifter. The Scholar. And this to me really opens up in a way that she looks less confined with the doorway and this. I really like that opened up, of course. I mean, there's my ancestress in larger glory. I love the Guardian. I love the Wayfarer. She just looks like a no nonsense. Like if Odin, or really maybe more Woden, was a woman, it kind of has that feeling. Because she looks like she's one-eyed. And so you get that little bit of that feeling of a female Woden energy. The Mystic. The Artist. The Seer. The Alchemist. The Memory. I really love this card. I know it's creepy looking, but it comes up really powerfully. Love this. The Shaman. Love this card, the Reconciler, both in meaning and in image. The Reconciler. Again, you can see some of that, a slightly more glow. It really works in this particular image because of the moonlight and the glow of the moonlight. The Reconciler. The Storyteller. I love this card so much. The Healer. The Laborer. The Explorer. Love this Hermit. The Soothsayer. The Weaver. The Preserver. The Unbound. I love this card as well, just in terms of I've done a lot of work with it. The Companion. Just gorgeous. Again, slightly warmer greens and more bluer toned greens here, but they're both really beautiful. The Comforter. The Dusk Child. So I really like this large. Again, it's not a big amount, right? But you can really feel it, and especially in some of the cards, you're like, oh, hello. Hello up there a little closer. Hecate, the Crossroads. Very powerful. And then again, you know, the cards these look identical. This kind of cardstock does look slightly whiter. I don't think you can maybe see in the camera, but slightly whiter, which may cause, you know, different colors to pop, maybe is why you get that slightly more warmth here. I'm not sure, but they're both beautiful. In fact, I would say I might even prefer the slight coloration in the whiter cardstock here, but you really can't see, you really can't see much difference in these, other than the kind of the cardstock slight difference. Again, if you want a full walkthrough of this, I have it linked in the description box below. Beautiful. Maybe slightly, this almost seems slightly more yellow because this cardstock is cream. So this almost feels slightly more warm and slightly more cooler. This has a vibrancy. I did notice that in this card, flipping through them. This again, because this something about this printing in this cardstock does have a sharpness and a saturation slightly different, and it does pop in this one. But again, these are gorgeous. Like, it's so minute that I don't think you would be disappointed in the mass market edition, which we want for the artist, right? Like, obviously they did their thing here and then passed it on to the mass market, and you know, your best case scenario is that you get a beautiful mass market version. So I'm really glad for the creator that obviously put so much work into this to have it be just as lovely in the mass market. I also saw that the artist with Sasha, was it Sasha Brown, the one that did the the Dark Woods Tarot, they have a tarot deck with this artist. A tarot deck is coming out in June, and I'm so excited. It's like Tarot of the Witch's Garden or something like that. That is by the same artist, and I'm really stoked to get that in June. I put it on my calendar. Pomegranate roots. Again, you can see that contrast and that saturation in the wreath. Just beautiful. I just love this deck so much. Love this deck. That's all I can say. I really love this deck. And then, as you can see that I didn't point out, the big difference, so the two big differences for me are, we obviously have the full image on the majors, or the seer part, the witch part. But then here you can see that there are numbers. So it's numbered 1 through 30, and then it goes right into 31, and is numbered all through here. There are no numbers on this, and they are not alphabetical, but this makes it so much easier, right? If you pull, you know, the storyteller to, well, I will usually stick like a sticky, so I know not, here, I'll just do that right now. So I know not to bother going past that point. You know, and then you can just quickly go to 18 and get your information there. So that's, I think, a very positive change from the original. Let me make this a little smaller so that it will go in the box still. There. So let's give these a shuffle. First, I'm going to give it a shuffle as I normally do, which is half and half. They're definitely they're a thicker cardstock. This doesn't look like it will want to bridge, but oh yeah, no, it just needs to break in a little. Yeah, that bridges actually nicely. Very nicely. Definitely has a nice matte feel to it. Again, this cardstock is what I would consider perfection for me. I like a good, beautiful, plain cardstock linen. That's like my jam, right? This right here is what, you know, I would consider perfection. This is really nice. I'm not at all upset about this. Now let's try to shuffle the whole. I don't really want to do that. I'm going to do it, but I'm not going to push it all the way through because I want to edge it. So again, yeah, you can get a riffle. I think I could bridge it too. I don't want to do it. I think you're all amazing, but I do want, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it apart anyways. I want to edge it without, you know what, I can just easily pull it back apart. You'll see how easy that is. So let's give it a true test. Yeah, it shuffles really nice. It's 60 cards, shuffles really beautiful, overhand or riffling. Again, I don't generally use it this way. I do, again, either just pull a seer, or I pull a seer and then pull 3 cards as a message, or I do a council of seers, that I pull a main seer for overall, and then I pull for fire, air, water, and earth areas, the seer to help with that, aid with that, and then sort of a divinatory card there, and then pull 4 below that. Oh, you can't even see what I'm talking about. Sorry. It's okay, I'm not going to try to figure out what I need to redo. I pull a main seer and then 1. So I have an animal guardian reading. It's like a check-in on the 4 areas of life. And so this is kind of similar, but it's with the witches or with the seers. And that, I really like to do that. So most of the time, I really don't ever, other than playing around with it, I don't keep these mixed together. And as you will see, they are easily separated out because they are so distinctly, so distinctly dark and light, that it makes it very easy. If you do want to kind of go back and forth, that one is got the whiter edges, but if you do want to go sometimes using it one way, sometimes using it other ways, it's not too hard to separate them away from each other. So I am going to finish separating these, and then I'm going to edge it the same way because I really like how I have my other one edged. So I generally use Tombow markers. Sometimes I use alcohol. I like Tombows because I have the least problem with it doing anything wonky. Now, not everybody can use it is a water-based. I don't put water next to my cards, so I don't tend to have an issue with them at all. I have many decks that I've edged in Tombows, and I've just never had an issue with it. But always test your own pH balance of your hands, your own sweatiness level, like whatever could cause it to come off more often or easier. You have to figure that out for yourself. I would recommend getting like a cheap deck of playing cards and doing it in Tombow and just making sure how it's going to wear. Of course, every card stock is going to be a little bit different. So I'm just going around and doing the edges, and then I'll do the gold on this one. This is Tombow 249, and this is 026, which is a matte gold that I use a lot on a lot of my decks. So that's the 2 colors that I'm using. I will finish them up and come back and show you the final results compared to the other. Okay, so here we have the 2. Oops, I missed a little. Sometimes you gotta look to your corners. And I have little dots there. So yep, there's that. Of course, I'd already done that. This has been, obviously it's different cardstock, plus these have been well shuffled. It comes out slightly darker on this linen cardstock, but I love the way this looks, and I love the way this looks. I definitely wanted to repeat the same thing. And again, I'm using Tombow 026 and Tombow 249 for those edges. So there you go. I think they did a great job. I like the addition of the numbers. I think that was well needed. I really love the full-size images on the cards. I like that they've stayed pretty much the same size because I really like this size. And so all in all, I think that they did a great job with this port over into a mass market deck of such a beautiful deck that really deserved the care to pull it into, I guess I'll pull one down, a couple down here. for a picture. But yeah, I'm really happy with the port over into a mass market deck. I would, if I was the artist, I would be happy with how that turned out in any ways. And so that's quite lovely to see. I hope this helps for you to be able to see a comparison of the two. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or evening.